Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Neptune sextile or trine one's natal Saturn. Now, this transit could manifest in dreams, inspiration, idealism, sacrifice, and even fantasizing. This could be in harmony with one's career, laborious work. I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. Now, what I'm saying is now when you have this transit, you may have more inspiration to do things that are career related, the right amount of inspiration. This is about if your Saturn is in, let's say it's in Capricorn, it could be that career may be connected with information technology or accounting or dentistry. Could be general mundane work, business, politics as some examples. And even this is a time, since Saturn is connected with laborious work, you might actually have more inspiration to do hard work at this time for whatever the reasons may be. If you have your natal Saturn in Gemini, it could be something connected with manual dexterity like auto or refrigeration mechanics. The thing about this transit as well, and some of you may wonder, well, what's the difference between this transit when you have the transit Neptune sextile or trine natal Saturn in contrast to transit Neptune making a conjunction to the natal Saturn? Well, they're comparable, but the thing about the conjunction is it's more intensifying. And the thing when you have the transit Neptune making a conjunction to the natal Saturn, it could be, in some cases, could be being more unrealistic regarding one's career, could be overly idealistic, or having so much inspiration in career-related matters and hard work that what it is, it can be overkill. It can be a little bit, too much, and what happens is it could be to the exclusion of other things. Now, when you have this transit in the sextile or trine aspect, well, that just gives more of a balance, that right amount of inspiration, I would say, and idealism without being unrealistic. Now, another thing too, and speaking of idealism, this could be a time when you have this transit about really being more, idealistic without being unrealistic, and matters with the father, older people, authority figures. Can be a time when you try to see the best in these people. You don't necessarily overlook the shortcomings, the transgressions, the defaults of these people, but it can be a time where you're more likely to accentuate and emphasize the positive aspects and elements in these people as opposed to negative at this time. If you have say your natal Saturn is in Leo, the father might actually be a Leo sun, moon, or ascendant person, or embody those characteristics, can have good, bad qualities. And positive, this person might be somebody, that's gregarious and extroverted, magnanimous, generous, has a lot of fortitude and faith. And on the negative side, it could be somebody that's very domineering, overbearing, extravagant, and it's just, you take it's good and bad with all, planetary placements. And this is the time too where if you have some fantasy regarding what you want to do, your ambitions, your career related matters, this is more of an opportunity where it can be more likely it could manifest into reality. Saturn is very grounding, and when you have this transit, I would say it keeps those dreams and things you envision at a more realistic level and more attainable. Now, another thing is, now anatomically speaking, Saturn is connected with the knees, the bones, the joints, hamstrings, and gallbladder. And when you have this transit, if there's anything, like if you've been procrastinating or hesitating on taking care of any of these issues, if you have any of these physical related problems that I just described that are anatomically connected with Saturn, this could be more of a time where you have more inspiration to take care of those matters at this point in time, and be more idealistic regarding them. Well, and as an example, it could be, if you have some problems with the knees, it can be a time where you're willing, you can see how you can work through the problems, or even anything else, whether it's the bones or the joints or the hamstrings, where you can figure out, what are you going to do in terms of working around these issues, or as far as recuperation goes, what can be done to, if there's anything to accelerate the healing process, whether it's through rehab or what have you. This is the time where you're more apt to see these things at this time, more so than usual. And it's also Saturn, is about concentration. So it can also be a time where, if you have any kind of dreams or fantasies or ideals you're trying to attain at the time of this transit, this is the time where you likely can have that right amount of focus and concentration on those matters. Or if there's even something Neptune related that you're trying to study, say for example something physical, which includes astrology or dancing, poetry, photography, chemistry, anesthesiology, something with illusion as some examples, special effects in movies. This is the time where you're more apt to be able to study these things and have less diversions or distractions than usual. And Saturn is also connected with chronic illnesses. Now what I described, for the other body parts that are anatomically connected with Saturn, the same would apply for chronic illnesses. If the natal Saturn is in the zodiac sign Cancer, there might be some chronic issues with the breast, the chest, the stomach, the ribs, even water retention. And it's a time where could be more idealistic regarding in terms of how you're going to work through those matters, and as far as recuperation and what you can actually do, if there's a way to heal the process, heal yourself quicker at that time. So it's also a time as well where you may be more inspired to deal with any kind of sorrow or something that's made you despondent. There may be more hope for you in dealing with this. If you're somebody that's spiritual, it might be a good time for using spirituality or some kind of meditation even to help you cope with those matters at this point in time. I mean, it could be a loss that you had, or whether it could be a literal loss, like an actual, when I say literal, I mean like a death, like a person passing away. As an example, it could be monetary situation that might not be the best. If you have your natal Saturn and Taurus under the second house, that may apply. And it's also a time where you might have more inspiration to deal with your fears, or even it's a good time for escaping, finding isolation, solitude, and seclusion to cope with those fears at this point in time. It might be time just to get away, just to deal with them. And also too, it's a time where it's more inspiration, the right amount to deal with something inhibiting, or if there's some kind of restriction or limitation in your life that you're trying to contend with at this time. And again, going back to Neptune being connected with spirituality and also meditation, this could be the time or that may be more beneficial to you in dealing with this. And it's also a time where it could be positive for very disciplined meditation, or again spirituality. If you are somebody that is spiritual or doing anything that could be Neptune related, such as something again with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or dancing or poetry as some examples. Now another way this transit may manifest, it could be about having again that right amount of inspiration, which is Neptune, and it could be for career related, which is Saturn matters. Now if the natal Saturn is in Leo as an example, those career-related matters may be associated with cardiology or creativity or the military. It could be product demonstration as some examples. It can be working with children as another example. And this also could be a time for dreams, which is Neptune. It's something that you may have more of an ability to concentrate, which is Saturn on. Let's say, for example, if the transit Neptune is in Aquarius in the 10th house, it could be, those dreams may include astrology or innovation or computer, which is Aquarius related career, which is the 10th house. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, this could also be a time where Neptune related people, when I say Neptune related people, I mean people, that could either be in a Neptune profession, like the metaphysical, which includes astrology, dancing, poetry, or photography, or people that are just simply associated with the planet, such as, the less fortunate, or people that might be formerly incarcerated. These people that you may know could be more in harmony and agreement with what you are planning, which is Saturn. Now, if the natal Saturn is in Taurus in the 12th house, as an example, it could be having some kind of steady or very methodical, stable, which is Taurus. It could be work in boating, um, or in a hospital, which is connected with the 12th house. And it's also a time where it could be very auspicious for escaping, so to speak, which is Neptune, and to deal with restrictions, which is Saturn. Now, if the natal Saturn is in the zodiac sign Cancer, as an example, it could be those restrictions may be associated with the home, or it could be something with care or protection, and also too, it might be a time where you're more idealistic about what you can really, which is Neptune, about what you can accomplish through laborious efforts, which is Saturn. And let's say if the natal Saturn is in Virgo, as an example, it could be doing something with analysis or compiling data. It could be extrapolating data or something that's associated with health and fitness. It could be working out vigorously, as some examples. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.